Welcome to the August 7th, 2025 Town of Stockbridge Select Board meeting, and thank you all for coming. I'd like to take action on the minute for May 1st, May 8th, May 13th, and May 15th. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minute of those dates.
And I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. We'll sign the warrant for the special town election, which is, I believe, August 26th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. So we made an announcement and we are going to appoint a member to the Affordable Housing Trust because we have a vacancy, and that will be Coke Forbes. And welcome. Thank you for doing service.
I'll make a motion. We
And I second.
are on the court and the committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. To
We have a couple
approve.
committees now, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
To approve the conditional and contingent offer of probationary employment for the position of Deputy Chief of Emergency Medical Services Operations to Michael Mahar Jr.
Chief, you want to come up and introduce?
Hopefully I said his name.
Good evening,
Thank you.
Honorable Select Board, Administrator, citizens and guests. Coming on behalf of the Fire Department tonight, to present two candidates for conditional offers of employment. First candidate is going to be for Deputy Chief of EMS Operations, Michael J. Maher Jr.
Thank you.
The
And
second candidate is for firefighter EMT, Paul M. Hernandez. A little bit about both of these gentlemen. Michael has a long-standing history within the town of Stockbridge, and he comes from legacy in firefighting as well. The badge that he's wearing tonight is actually his grandfather's badge from when he served. Paul Hernandez comes from a line of firefighters and EMTs as well. His mother was a firefighter medic down in Florida, and he is following in her footsteps. Both of these candidates were lucky enough to have and be able to put forth from within. And I'm hoping that you will accept these conditional offers of employment and the nominations for these two members.
thank you.
I worked with Mike for multiple years. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
I'll make a motion. We appoint the two.
And I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, you're supposed to say that. Oh, days. Aye. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Welcome and good luck.
It's the
Thank you very
start,
much.
it's the start of the beginning of a long haul for the fire department.
It is. This is the beginning of the next chapter.
Yep.
Thank you for the help. Have a great night.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Let's see, next. Oh boy, here we go. Take action on extended hours for entertainment for the BSO. 1, August 23rd for the Tanglewood Festival Chorus to extend live entertainment to 12 midnight on the premises, the Tent Club. And 2, September 6th for a wedding reception to extend live entertainment to 12 midnight premises, the Tent Club. Do we have anyone speaking on
Yep.
this?
John
Hi.
Stan.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, can you tell us a little more about what you're looking for?
Absolutely. So August 23rd is the yearly celebration for the Tanglewood Festival Chorus. This is one that we request an extension for every year for them, just because of the ending time of the concert. It gives them an opportunity to spend a little bit more time in that tent, and they're also doing a farewell to their choral director, who is leaving the organization and going back to the UK. So this one's a particularly special evening for them. And then September 6th, same thing. We've got a wedding client who's just requested an extra hour on the grounds, which I know we've granted some other folks previously.
So I have a question. When you say live entertainment, does that mean you still will be having music or just people are chatting and drinking and
There is an extension of the music as well, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And how many people approximately for either, both? Like, if you broke it out?
Absolutely. The chorus is roughly 100 and the wedding will be about 125.
Okay. We have allowed extensions to go to midnight for Chesterwood and stuff, but with no entertainment. And, all these places are residential neighborhoods. So my opinion is I would allow the 12 midnight for the gathering, but no music from 11 to midnight.
I would,
That would set a precedent for every other.
And if I could, there was one, for music in particular, I believe you guys did allow 11:30 last year.
Was that in the building though?
That one, the tent was 11:30 and you've allowed midnight into the building.
is there any possibility to put from 11 to 12 the music inside or no?
It is an outdoor space, so there would be no,
Okay.
that's right.
Is it amplified?
Is it amplified?
Yeah, that's a DJ.
Yeah. I would be entertained not to allow the extension of the music. It would set a bad precedent for every other nonprofit to come in and say, we want to go to midnight in all these residential neighborhoods.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with extending the socialization and everything. Yeah,
I mean, I'll make a motion to allow it to go to midnight for the gathering, but the music stops at 11.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, project update, boat ramp, kayak launch and bank stabilization. Michael.
Yes. Been 2 years in the making. We began a couple of years ago requesting that DCR fix the bank of the boat ramp and install a kayak launch. The DCR has finally gotten to that project. The town had put up $25,000 to go toward this project and the remainder is coming from the state. The project will include bank stabilization, cleaning up that bank, creating a path down to the water plus a switchback so that a person in a wheelchair could get there. And it will go out to a handicap launch off of the bank there. So the plans,
I think we have a picture.
I did have a picture. I think I gave you guys a picture of it. Yep. So if anybody here wants to see it, and I will call it up on my screen. You guys can pass that along, what it's gonna look like. That is an example that's in one of their other lakes. I just have to pull up the image.
Timeline. I have questions.
Where is it? It's in the packet.
Question. Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Just looking that up. Is this particular one like the one that was installed down on the Housatonic River?
No, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Will it be removable in the winter? Or,
I haven't gotten that detail of whether they need it removed in the winter or not. I believe these are
Question.
I
more
believe it would
permanent.
be.
It would.
I believe it would be removed.
Yeah. I will get that clarified.
Yes.
They filed the notice of intent with the conservation. That's gonna be heard. I'm not sure, is it the 12th or the 26th?
Oh, I don't know.
I know they were
The next
gonna,
meeting is the
it's gonna be in August. They're gonna have the notice of intent filed. This is what the state puts in. And I will get it clarified as to whether
Yeah,
it's gonna
I can't-
need to be removed
I can't.
in the winter. I think if it is removal, it's just bringing it up on the
Right.
bank and then
Yeah.
left on the bank. It's all aluminum. It
It
doesn't
seems like it
rust.
would break in the
Then the next
ice.
question is, who
Wouldn't
is
it
comes up, and that
responsible
comes
for-
up. What's that?
My next question is, who's gonna be responsible for removing it from the lake up to the shoreline during the winter?
I believe,
If it is.
I would say it would be the state, but Mike can look into that.
Yeah, no, I actually think it'll probably end up being us. Just like we do, yeah, it tends to. But we'll work, this has been, oh, you're right, that's why I'm having trouble. The
Why?
share shut off. I have to turn it on.
Do you think?
So for those online, that's what the ramp will look like. That's what the object will be, what it'll be in the water, and then the diagram above. This is on our website right now. You can look underneath our information.
This would be on the left.
On the
On the boat.
boat ramp, this is on the left, and it's going to include rebuilding of the bank that has gotten in sad shape over on that side. And we're still working on all the details and the rest, but we'll make sure. And I do think it's something that if we need to get it out, we'll learn how to take it out properly, and we'll get it out because I think it's going to be a great amenity for it. So I'll clarify that. I didn't think about asking if we would have to. The other boat ramp that is currently up there, that used to be on the river, but because our river rises and goes down so much, we couldn't keep the boat ramp there, the kayak launch on the river, because it would either end up suspended or up. We lost, yeah. So, but there is a plan right now to use, to get rid of the Phragmites at the public beach and then put that boat ramp in and install it at the public beach to the right of the beach, just like they used to have the racks there, but we need to get those Phragmites removed. So we're actually proposing to cut the Phragmites and then use what's called a benthic mat, which is basically a heavy mat you lay over the top. You leave it there for a couple of years. It kills the roots because there's no sunlight to it. And then you basically use hooks and you pull it out, and that would restore that area. And then we can put the boat ramp over the top of that, and then people would have, so we'd have a kayak rack launch for those that get on the racks. They'd be able to launch from the beach from one that'll go out on the water, and we'll have this one on the other side for visitors of the lake. So like I said, it's been 2 years, it's been quiet, and now all of a sudden it's our turn and it's getting done.
Yeah,
So,
because I was almost ready to propose it to get our money back.
yes.
'Cause it would have been 3 years come this May.
Yeah.
So now this is going through, which is great.
Yeah.
That 25,000 was sitting there
Yeah.
doing nothing, and
Yeah.
and let the state come up with the plan, then we can decide what to give them. But now that they're doing this, they can use the 25,000.
That'll be a pretty substantial project
At the
overall.
top. Yeah, it'll be 25,000 is a drop in the half of what they're gonna be doing there over the next few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is state property.
And any other questions from the audience?
Congratulations on your
adjourn?
two.
No, we're gonna take a pause here until 6:30 when we'll conduct the first interview.
All right.
So we'll have to stay on camera and we'll
Do we
just shut
turn
off the
mute?
microphones and we'll reconvene at
30.
6:30 for the first interview.
Oh, we're still hot, right? All right, welcome back and thank you. And we're going to continue on with our interviews. And in front of us, we have Tyler Collins here. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Tyler?
So we have some questions. We're just going to go through them.
Yes.
What, do we have anything else we have to say?
No, I'll just ask Tyler the first, which is just to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in the position. And then the select board's going to be asking you a bunch of other questions.
Tyler Collins. I was born and raised in Lee. Went to preschool here in Stockbridge. Went on to St. Mary's and graduated from Lee High School. After high school, I went to Anna Maria College in Paxton, Mass. For a fire science degree. Once I was done with college, I just was in the workforce for a little bit and found a job opportunity in Tennessee as a career fireman. Tennessee wasn't for me. I was down there about 3 years. I moved back home to be with my family, and for the past 5 years, I have 4.5, currently been working for Monterey Highway.
Okay. Anything else you wanna? No. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Can you describe your leadership style and provide an example of how you have successfully managed a diverse team with varying levels of experience and skills?
When I worked in Tennessee as a full-time fireman, I had a side job part-time working for a fence company where I was a foreman for a crew, and I would lead a crew of 1 to 4 people every day. I would explain them how to do the job and move forward with it.
Mhm.
I don't like to micromanage, explain to them how it works and proceed with that. And if they had any questions, I would love to answer them for them
Okay,
and just work efficiently.
great. Thank you. Chuck?
My turn. How do you prioritize and delegate tasks among your team during peak workload periods such as snowstorms and emergency repairs?
I would find the highest priority task that is on hand at the time and delegate throughout the crew who has the most experience and skills to accomplish this goal and work our way down to the least, what should I say, major incident. Yes.
Great.
No, that's good.
Number 3, tell us about your experience working within a unionized environment. How have you handled interpreting contract language or managing grievances?
Could you repeat that one more time?
There's a couple questions in it. Tell us about your experience working within a unionized environment. How have you handled interpreting contract language or managing grievances?
And I'm not sure if Monterey is a union.
We are not a union. I have not worked in a union environment.
That's fine. That's
Just never been into it.
I don't know how it was unionized.
Some of the smaller towns aren't.
They're not.
Okay, so
All right, you're up.
that's not a question for you. How do you approach performance management and accountability within a unionized department while maintaining morale and fairness?
So just drop the unionized part.
So how would you manage accountability with the department? Well, keeping the morale up and the fairness between, giving task out and stuff.
I would work on, like I said before, the skills that each employee has and who's best at what, and rotate them. Say we're working with machinery or a truck, try to work each person through each piece of machinery so everyone gets a chance to improve their skills and move forward with skills.
Okay. 5, what is your approach to budgeting for a municipal highway department, particularly in controlling overtime, managing capital projects, and maintaining equipment?
I would, for the maintaining equipment, I would get a capital plan together for what we have, like take an inventory of the equipment we have and figure out what needs to be replaced, when it needs replaced, try to keep as much equipment as we can inside of the warranty. So before it comes out of warranty, we're not spending tremendous amount of money on repairs. For the budgeting, I would Excel spreadsheet and break everything down by category and expand throughout the 12 months. So I knew what we had for each month to spend.
Okay. Good. You're up, Chuck.
How do you ensure safety protocol and compliance with OSHA and DEP regulations across all operations?
I missed that last part, I'm sorry.
How do you ensure safety protocols and compliance with OSHA and DEP regulations across all operations?
I would always have my workers wearing hard hats, safety hats, safety vest, have every vehicle inspected, do, I would call it a toolbox talk. Once a month, twice a month, sit down and do kind of a 30-minute classroom talk on safety of a certain job. Could be chipper, snow and ice, equipment.
Okay.
7, describe a time you responded to a public works emergency outside of regular hours. What was your role and how did you manage staff and public expectations?
About 2 years ago, we had a very major rainstorm and thunderstorm in town of Monterey. We got called in about 7:30 at night, trees down across Main Road and various other roads. We split into 2 crews, one's with a loader, one with an excavator and chipper, and broke out and split up the town. And my job at the time was running a chainsaw and feeding the chipper.
Mhm.
Were you in charge of that?
I was not. I was in charge of the crew I was with.
And how many people were in your crew?
Me and one other.
Okay.
There was 4 of us that were called in.
Oh, it's Monterey small. Right. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, can you share a time you had to resolve a conflict or complaint from a resident or stakeholder? Either a town resident or a selectman or somebody in politics or.
I would say there was a time my foreman and I went out to a resident having a complaint about they were nervous of safety and they were not sure. They were trying to understand us to fix something with their embankment, but their embankment was out of our jurisdiction. It was over 25 feet from the center of the road. It was well onto their property, and we had to explain to them that is your property. We have guardrails up to keep people off of your property, and we can't go much farther with doing work on your property, because if we do it to you, there's many other residents that are going to ask for us to do it.
Thank you. Let's see. What steps would you take in your first 90 days to assess the needs of the department and build trust with the staff, union, and community?
I would say within the first 2 weeks, I would really like to do a road inventory, see where the town lines are, figure out plow routes, turnarounds. Also ensure, I would like to have a meeting with each one of the employees and office and learn where they're coming from, what their experiences are, what they have to assist me with doing my job.
Okay. Chuck, you're up.
Okay, that's one. How have you implemented or recommended improvements to operations using technology, data tracking, or new procedures?
So in Monterey, we have a road speed sensors in our vehicles for putting down salt. So I have always calibrated them and put in the data for what we've used each storm, each month and throughout the year. So we know exactly how much salt we've used.
So you were in charge of that?
Yes. I would also pass 2 trucks we have received. I've assisted with figuring out what we want for the truck, what's best for us, what meets us the best to do our job most efficiently.
All right. So Chuck and I are both gonna ask you this one.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's more if you have any, after
Well,
reviewing
okay.
his resume, is there anything we have the apples to apples questions and then we have,
So the question is, do we have any specific questions for the applicant based on your resume? Chuck, do you?
Let me just. You got time. Let me
is
just-
that all right if I ask?
Yeah.
One of the things that you identified is that the last year you've been pretty much running the department.
I want to say I was assisting the foreman with emails, budgeting, the payroll. We work together as a team to do that and make it most efficient.
All right, that's been since the superintendent's been out.
Correct.
Had to take that role
Correct.
of running,
October.
partially running the department, yes.
How are you with, trying to read this, but for, long-term planning, chapter 19 grants and stuff like that, and the tips program, are you,
The chapter 90 I have played with. I understand the budgeting where they come up with it with the population, the miles. I have not wrote any grants myself, but I have assisted in with what was going on and how to figure out what you need and what you can use it for.
okay. Yeah, we definitely will help with grants and stuff, like, you know, with. I mean, you got some very good resumes. I mean, very good feedback from you. Okay, I think that's all I have.
All right. Do you have any questions for us about anything or procedures?
Just a few of them here. One of them being, does the town already have a capital plan for equipment and roads for the future
We,
set up?
like I said, but we really, the last few years, upgraded all our equipment.
Okay,
And with Mike, we got, you know, everything that was out of,
Wasn't working.
wasn't working, it was out of,
Compliance warranties, yeah.
so we got excellent equipment.
okay,
And so it has to definitely be upkept and stuff, but you start, if you get to that, you're starting off with probably the best equipment in Berkshire County.
okay,
One of the things that we do have to consider is how we're gonna swap out the fleet, because due to the fact that the fleet was in poor condition, we had to do a lot of it all at the same time. But we want to make sure that we stagger the next level so that we're not having the same one. So it will be something we will have to look at. We're doing a road management study right now, examining the quality of all of our roads in
Okay.
order to come up with a prioritization list. So that's right now in the process. So they're both in the process, but we need somebody to take them through and finalize.
okay. Also, tree program, is it very active and strong removing dangerous trees, replanting trees to grow for the.
We have a very active tree warden,
We have a tree
who is out there, aggressively taking down trees. The highway department obviously works closely with the tree warden. Larger trees, we bring in contractors. Small trees might be assisted. And obviously when a tree comes down, the highway cleans it up.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, and not to ask the other one the same question, so not an issue. Our Parks Department's really moving forward on a whole bunch of projects, so a lot of that will involve the highway,
Okay.
working with the parks, building gazebo, the pickleball courts being done, but so there's gonna be a lot of interaction with the Parks and Rec. With
Okay.
town highway department to save money and to help.
Have you worked with the various other boards like Park and Rec and others?
We have, yes, yes.
Like when we do the rate, we're gonna be hauling in the material they need,
Okay,
because they want to stockpile a whole bunch, so let's just have our guys haul it in as you need it, so there'd be things like that where you might have to shuffle your schedule a little bit, throw a guy in the truck to help,
okay,
like that, but but that's pretty much in every town,
Yeah.
things come up where you gotta take a guy off of something and put him on something else, so, okay.
Right.
Other questions?
one more. What would you like to see from your superintendent in the first 6 to 12 months?
Um, that's a good question.
Yeah. No, I would say that what we need right now is somebody come in and just organize the department, keep the department on task. They've been doing a great job, and just continue to move forward. Get to know the town, get to know the piece. I know when I came here, I spent the first couple of weeks just watching, analyzing, and then figuring out, okay, what's working, what's not, and the rest. But I would think a little patience would be the key over the first couple of weeks, and evaluation would be the key. And then identify what the needs are that you think need to happen.
You got a good crew, they kind of know the role. So you have to learn on what they can do and stuff like that, and then work on that to just kind of enhance on what they're doing. Right now, they're doing a very good job of the basics because they're keeping the town afloat. Once we get somebody in, then we gotta get back into the paving and the bigger work and the culvert work and stuff, but I think just learning the crew, learning their capabilities and who can do what. And then from there, doing your assignments and stuff,
Okay.
Down the road. Like any new person going to a job, even when I had new jobs, that's the way, you had to see what you had to learn who can do what.
Okay.
But you know that.
You did bring up the bigger projects coming, and it made me think, so you guys have 42 and a half miles of road. How many miles of gravel road do you guys have that you
Not many left.
Not many.
Yeah, but there's still a good chunk.
There still is.
There's still a good chunk. I don't know the specific
Okay.
numbers, but there's still a good amount of dirt roads that still need. We have a bunch of projects that'll be happening over the next year. The upper section of 183 is being done through the Safe Routes program. We're gonna have the culvert done on Shadow Brook by the state. There's gonna be a rebuild of the bridge or some restoration work done on the bridge on Prospect. Those are all state projects within the town. We were able to get in the state Safe Route program. In addition to that, we have a bunch, probably over the next year or two, we're gonna want to go out. We've been building up again. We did about $1 million of road work, and we've built up the chapter 90 again. And probably within 2 years, we're gonna want to go out and hit a bunch of other roads. So part of that'll be whoever's in this position, developing the prioritization list of those roads and then getting us ready so we can go out to bid.
Okay,
Anything else?
that is all I have.
Chuck, everything?
No, I'm good.
And I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
So just to let you know, the process, what we're doing is we have a couple interviews this evening. Then the board is going to meet next Tuesday on August 12th at 5 o'clock. And at that point, they're going to deliberate over the applicants that we have, and then they'll decide whether or not they're gonna move forward with one or what they're gonna do. So that's the process. No matter what, because you've come in for an interview, I will be contacting you at least by the 13th and letting you know
Okay,
what's happening.
okay, yes.
All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So much.
Coming in.
So we're gonna pause until 7 and we will reconvene. Thank you. So welcome Bob Navin and to the town of Stockbridge, and we're here to do your interview. So, ready?
Yep. Bob, why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this position.
Right out of the gate.
Yep.
I've been involved in municipal highway since 2003. When I first started, I mean, I love doing it. I love all aspects of it. I love learning new parts of it. And from day one, when I was interviewed in Richmond, where I originally was, I told the superintendent at the time, he asked me what my goals were working there, long term. And I looked at him and I said, I want to sit in your chair. And, that was a little over 22 years ago, and I've done everything I can to progress into that position. I was temporarily, for a few years, I was the superintendent in Cheshire. The last 3 years, I've been a foreman in Otis, but I love all aspects of it. I love the superintendent position. I'm very highly involved in the Superintendent's Association. Actually, last year, I was the president for Berkshire County. So I say my involvement, my ties and peers, I have a lot of connections that I think I said it to Mike that I don't have all the answers when it comes to road highway work, but in a matter of minutes, I can get an answer within a few phone calls of, you were talking about calling other people, and I'm very good. I'm very humble about when I don't know an answer, asking for help and getting it. And I have a great network to do that. That's just a little bit on the professional side of it, Before that, I did a lot, from the time I got out of school, I was involved in construction, all different aspects. I worked for a couple large contractors who did everything from A to Z. So I've touched on and have experience with concrete, with blacktop, with building, trucking, running equipment, so I've always been involved in that aspects of it. Presently married, me and my wife, our dogs are our big thing. We have 3 of our own, plus we foster, and we do a lot of hiking with them. Other interests, I have my bike. I do a lot of motorcycle riding, for enjoyment, and hunting. That's another, I'm usually available year round. I understand the commitment of a 24/7 that this position or any highway position actually requires. And like I said, I've lived this life for a long time and totally understand it. And living from the forecast and, like I say, that's just part of my life, and it has been for a long time. I don't know if that kind of answers you a little bit.
Absolutely.
Started.
Yeah.
So your first question is, can you describe your leadership style and provide an example of how you have successfully managed a diverse team with varying levels of experience and skills?
First and foremost, I'm a lead by example type person. Like I said, there's nothing that I would ever ask an employee to do that I have not done. I think in as many years between the highway and construction work, I'm yet to come up with something that I haven't faced and had to do. Been up to my waist in mud and, snowstorms and gone without sleep. So there's no aspect that I would ever ask anybody to do something I haven't done. So, as far as the leading by example. Right now, where I am the foreman, I have 2 different diverse guys that work for me. One of them had 0 experience, and I've had to, really mold and get him along. But he's also a very, I don't know the right word, but he's the type of person that needs a lot of details, and you have to really explain things out. The other person has had, some construction, trucking and stuff like that. So I can say, hey, just go do this. He's not a self-motivator. So I have to, give him a little kick in the butt sometimes. The other guy's a great worker and will do anything, but he needs the guidance. So I feel that I have the ability to recognize people's strong points and their weaknesses. And everybody needs to be treated fairly and evenly, but they need to be treated differently for their needs. And I think that my leadership, I recognize that, and I feel very strongly about my ability to to incorporate that. You know, I'm very good with hands-on instructing. You know, I'm patient with people learning, which is another real strong. And it's not always easy, but you need to let people, you know, give them some instruction and let them try it and do it, and then guide them, give them, you know, so my instruction and teaching procedures, and, you know, that's how I was taught, and it's very successful in my opinion.
Thank you. Chuck?
Okay, how do you prioritize, got that time, and delegate tasks among your team during peak workload periods such as a snowstorm or emergency repairs?
Repeat the beginning of that, because I was listening.
How do you prioritize
Prioritize, okay.
and delegate tasks among your team during peak workload periods such as snowstorms and emergency repairs?
I think that it has to be a level of understanding of their roots that they already know, experience, time served, you know, so you can't just jump on the new guy and say, hey, go do the biggest route and, you know, the hardest task of it. You have to really delegate it to people's abilities, like I say, their experience. And again, falls into this. I'm very aware of the union situation. You have to follow union guidelines. You can't, and you know, there's state laws, there's OSHA requirements. You can't send a guy out with the loader to go clear Main Street that doesn't have a license to run the loader. You know, so you really have to, again, to back up the first question, you really have to figure out what your crew is and what they're capable of, and use that and have a trust and understanding with them.
Okay. Oh, my turn. 3. Tell us about your experience working within a unionized environment. Have you handled interpreting contract language or managing grievances?
All right, so my union experience was a little over a year I worked here. It's, you know, I was in the union, really didn't have any issues. My time in Cheshire was a little over 3 years. They have the same union, but there was never one grievance filed. It was always handled internally. The union wasn't real strong up there. They really didn't utilize it, and they've actually disbanded it since I've left. I believe one person out of the 5 crew is still maintain union. So the union really, I haven't had to deal with that. I do have a very strong understanding of unions from my growing up. My father was always big. He was in the paper mills. He was an officer in the union. And then my parents split early on. My stepfather was president for many years and an officer in the Lee Mills in the union. So I've seen the extremes of the union. In my opinion, sometimes the pluses and the minuses of the union. They're taking advantage of the union, you know, on both sides of it, you know. So my union experience, you know, like I said, from witnessing it, I've seen and I understand. I have a very good understanding when I read something and interpreting it, you know. So reading through the contract, I don't think I would have any issues of interpreting it into practice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, how do you approach performance management and accountability within a unionized department while maintaining morale and fairness?
I don't think that the union is a factor in that, or whether there's a union or not. You know, people have to be held to a level of accountability, whether, like I say, whether there's a union or not. But, you know, that's hopefully, and if there wasn't, there should be job descriptions. And the more detailed they are, the easier it is to accomplish that. If somebody has a specific job description and they're not up to that, you know, you can use that as a reference. Documentation is a huge part of that. And like I say, having job descriptions, and if not, hypothetically, if I was hired, that would be something that, you know, I had basic ones that I improved when I was in Cheshire. I think that's very important. And you really can use that to I don't know if that answered what you're looking for, but that would be one of the tools I would use to accomplish that. It has to be established beforehand. You're changing thing as you go and trying to ad lib it really is not the best way to manage people. There needs to be structure, and determining that ahead of time is a big plus for that.
Okay, thank you. Five, what is your approach to budgeting for a municipal highway department, particularly in controlling overtime, managing capital projects, and maintaining equipment?
You do everything you can with what you have, and you always wish you had more. It's, you really have to, it depends upon what your budget is and what your needs are, like the overtime. You just have to really monitor and watch what you have and what you can do. It's hard to answer that without seeing the budgets and the condition of it and stuff. I was very particular with my budgets when I was in Cheshire. I always, I did all my own billing. So I monitored and I knew what my budgets were, what I had left. And when I had large repairs for things, you look for, you only have so much money in your maintenance budget. If you have a large, you look for other ways to offset it. If it doesn't, capital projects, usually you try and figure all that. Like, I'm very big on free planning, and, you know, like I say, if you're doing a Chapter 90 project, that should be, you should know where you are. If you run into overruns, there should be a reason. You should have budgeted some for overruns. You really shouldn't have them huge overruns because you should have thought of that, all that ahead of time. And if not, then, you know, you make sacrifices and you have to cut. But the biggest thing is monitoring it and watching where you're at. And I've found with municipal budgeting, it's not, it's really, you have to do everything you can with what you have. It's not, you know, you always want to do more, you always want more, but you really have to watch. I never went over on any of my budgets. I had decent budgets when I was there. The winter roads, a couple of times were close, but, you know, those types, winter roads is the only budget in municipality that you can go over. I mean, I'm very aware of, you know, some of those things. I'm procurement and stuff, I'm very familiar with that, what you can and can't. You know, procurement officer, you have to, you know, work with him on a lot of those things. So, like I said, and I'm great with numbers, you know, I'm very confident, and just a little reference to that. I recently just went and got my sewer treatment license.
Oh.
And, you know, at my age, I've not done a lot of numbers with formulas, fractions, and percentages and stuff. And I had to remember all that stuff and redo it. And it came back fairly fast, you know, so I mean, there was a lot of that is numbers, and just took a real short time and I got it. And that was probably what carried me to pass the test.
What was that license?
I have the grade 3 municipal.
What does that allow you to do?
I'm not sure the extent, because I don't know, like here, what your grade plant is. I got it. What I have now is I'm a relief operator. For the small plant that's in Otis, I can go into readings and stuff, weekends and stuff like that. Just coverage. You need a 4M, at least for that plant, to be the chief operator, which I did the 3M with never any experience doing anything with sewer. I took a 5-week class, 5 days, did some studying on, you know, my own, and went and took the test. So I love learning and improving myself with that kind of stuff because it's interesting and it keeps my brain working.
Yeah, I plan very well.
What's that? Hearing is the issue.
How do you ensure safety protocols and compliance with OSHA and DEP regulations across all operations?
Because that's first and foremost, safety. Everybody needs to go home at night with all 10, you know, with all their digits. And, you know, I'm very stickler to that. I wear a vest or a safety shirt every day, and I expect that from everybody around me. Plowing a truck, you should have something on because you get out of that truck. So just little things like that. I'm very vocal. I'm not a bashful person to be vocal when it comes to safety. If I see something, I say something, and I'm very much on people that safety is a huge factor. Like I said, that's usually the first and foremost of any project, is safety. Make sure everybody goes home. There's flagger classes for even just doing traffic. There's safety protocols. The phones, they need to be kept in your pocket when you're out on the side of the road or in the truck, or things like that. There's safety is very, and I'm very conscious of that. I am OSHA 10. I do eventually want to get my, through my OSHA, the OSHA 30 or 40, whatever it is. But I have had the OSHA 10 for a long time. Bucky knows I've many years on a fire department. So I'm aware of a lot of the, safety aspects, and first responder certified, first aid, CPR. So safety aspect has always been strong with me.
7, describe a time you responded to a public works emergency outside of regular hours. What was your role, and how did you manage staff and public expectations?
I couldn't even begin to give you, all the examples. I've come to roads completely gone, washed out, come up on them, trees and wires, part of it being public works, even though, fire department, motor vehicle accidents. First thing you do is to back up the truck is safety. You have to secure the scene, the area, whether it be a road washed out, you have to cone it off, block it off, get the right resources coming. Sometimes that's the most you can do, is just, block it off so nobody gets hurt. Other times you have to get all your resources coming, whether, personnel, calling them in, or, equipment, materials. Again, to back up to my network, not only is it highway superintendents, I have a huge network of vendors, private contractors of the area. I've called in contractors at 11 o'clock at night. I need trucks, I need material. What can you get me? How fast can you get it for me? Assessing a situation, like I say, the first thing is securing the scene, assess the situation, and then you mobilize what you need to. Sometimes it's just for the night, you close it off. Other times, you call the electric company because things have to be, so you don't touch anything in any wires under any circumstances. You don't allow anybody else to. I've been to National Grid, but mainly Eversource classes and, about safety for wires. So.
Thank you. Chuck?
Can you share a time you had to resolve a conflict or complaint from a resident or stakeholder?
I'm trying to think of the most recent.
Somebody always had a complaint about something.
Notice it's really not terrible out there. I back up to most of my complaints were back in my days, like in Richmond. There was a lot of people that you just couldn't make happy. One thing Mark Weber, when I was actually in Stockbridge, before I went to Cheshire, he talked to me about it. And there was an incident, and he says, if it's how you deal with the people, if you deal with them negatively, if you don't, they're going to tell 10 people, and then they're going to tell 10 people. Before you know it, the negativity is passed on. And one slightest little thing of not handling it professionally, or just not handling the situation, it gets blown out, and everybody, the highway department doesn't do anything. They're all slackers. They won't do anything to help me. It was all about a mailbox that got hit and needed to be just put back up. It didn't even need any money. It just needed to be put back up, and somebody wouldn't do it, a superintendent. He said, so if you just took and went and repaired that, they're going to tell 10 people, hey, the highway department was great. They took care of it, and then they tell 10 people. Before you know it, you get a positive. So I always look, and part of that, he had told me, he says, always look at it as that one residents complain, it's a big deal to them. It is their world. That pothole in front of their house it's not a big deal to you. You have 1,000 potholes in town that you have to deal with and you're trying to budget and figure out ways to fix them. That one pothole means nothing. But if you look at it from their point of view, that one pothole means a lot, and treat them that way. That, and understanding that that pothole does mean something and you will get to it, and don't make promises that you can't keep, so. That's kind of, I look at people, that was me, and, that's how I deal with, my interaction with residents was, never really an issue. I've always had good luck because I treat people that way. And if you can't do anything, you have to just tell them that you can't, you'll do what you can, but sometimes there isn't anything you can do to resolve the issue, and give them the answers that they want.
9, what steps would you take in your first 90 days to assess the needs of the department and build trust with the staff, union, and community?
I would look for some history, recent history. I don't know how logged things have been. I would find out where things are at, the condition, the assessment of staff, find out their skills and their needs, and work toward and on that. Try and build trust relationships and get them involved, the staff involved in going forward and setting goals. I'm sure Mike has a whole list of projects that, need attention. And like I say, a big part of building that with the staff and the union is involving them. Don't think that, you walk in there, hey, I'm the boss, you're going to do things this way, and that's how it is. Because if you don't get them behind you, for myself, if I went in there and with that attitude, I would never succeed. And knowing my success relies on, the crew that's already here.
Mm-hmm.
The residents, they need to see, I'm very big on perception. So they need to see things being done. They need to, like I say, the list from Mike of complaints and things that need addressed, those things need to be addressed. And if people see that, and you get their trust. If you don't have the townspeople's trust, you're never going to get, the backing them when you need a new truck or you need a piece of equipment. You can, beg for it to blue in the face. If you're not seeing results, people aren't going to back you. You need the people behind you knowing that, they say, an area of potholes, you take care of it and those people will support you. So working and have to work with people. This isn't a one person position by no stretch, and I know, not saying that I learned the hard way, but I learned that you succeed a lot more with people working with you than against you.
Thank you. Chuck, you're up.
Wait, one more, really. How have you implemented or recommended improvements to operations using technology, data tracking, and new procedures?
Snow and ice is a huge thing. Salt usage. Everybody hates to see the amount of salt used. They hate to see the bill of the salt. They hate to see the salt on the road, but they want the roads bare. There's ways to do that. Computers in trucks, the technology of monitoring your salt usage and using it right. There's salt treatments, like I said, I'm big on going to classes, and the winter roads is a great one for that. Like I say, using the materials the right way and at the right time, you're going to miss. It's not a perfect science. But if you, like I say, the spreader calibrations, make sure them trucks are putting out what you want them to in the right way. And the equipment being up to date and working properly makes a world of difference. And part of that is, again, working with the staff. You can have them trucks set perfectly, have all the computer systems in them. If the guys aren't going to use it and use it properly, it's a waste. So you have to get them on board to see the difference of, things work the right way. I became a believer the hard way, fought it, and That's a perfect example, the salt usage. There's ways of not wasting it, not using it in excess, and still get the results out of it if you do it right.
So number 11 is for Chuck and I. Any questions we have based on your resume? Chuck, do you have any?
No, not the resume, but that's the same question they asked them. Our parks and rec are really getting involved in doing a lot of projects. So we're doing a pickleball court up here. So when the contractor came in and doing it, we discussed it, and the highway department is gonna truck in the material they need, maybe 1, 2, 3 truckloads. So it's gonna be times where have things scheduled that you might have to pull somebody off and put them in a dump truck. The pavilion and stuff, the town's gonna be involved in the building, but it's gonna be a lot of things the Parks and Recs come up with down the next few years that are really gonna involve the highway department. So how are you working with other departments?
I've discussed it with Mike. I'm all for everybody in this town that gets a check from the town of Stockbridge should work together and find a way to do that. When I was here, before, there was a drift, the water and sewer and the highway really had no connection. I get along with all of them guys. The fire department, I know Vinny, I've known him for years, get along with him. Daryl, I haven't seen him in years, the police department, but I went to school with him. So there needs to be a connection. As far as the parks, the only thing I would, when it got to be that time discussing with them, let them understand that don't call me at 10 o'clock and say, hey, I need a load of material in 45 minutes. Scheduling and stuff like that, I'm all for everybody working together. Like I said, it's whether it's a volunteer committee or an employee, we're all here with the town of Stockbridge, and it should be first and foremost. One of the things that, because of the situation when I was here before, I used to tell people, and I think I remember telling this to you when I left. I really felt that the level of service that the residents of Stockbridge wasn't there what they deserved for what this town could have offered and stuff from the highway department. So that is really would be a goal of mine, that the people get the level of service they deserve. I know things are way better than they were, and I would want to build on that and continue to build on that. But working together is a huge part of that.
Anything else, Chuck?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Do you have any questions for us?
I do have two.
Okay.
That I thought about, and I figured that I've never done this before, and I thought about this. As a board, what changes or improvements would you like to see out of your next superintendent? Here, put you on the spot.
That again?
As a board of selectmen, what changes or improvements would you like to see out of your next superintendent?
I would like to see a very good working environment down there and the people working together. We do have a very good crew, but I think that this needs to be managed and respected and promoted to what, they're capable of doing.
So it'd be safe to say you're looking for improvement in morale and work.
And morale and stuff,
Yeah.
it's very good right now.
Yeah.
But we just need that to continue and to be able to, give them the respect and what they deserve. And just, like I said, work with the other departments in town and just work together and move town forward in a positive direction.
I also agree with teamwork, and maybe also, being able to, like you said, with one other answer, to assess everyone's skills and put them in their best situation, really utilize and maybe some education so that people feel empowered and feel confident and, yeah. That's
Okay, my other one quick. What would you say would be the next superintendent's biggest challenge?
challenge.
Would it be, the staff and like you were just talking about, or is there something
I don't think
else?
there'll be any major challenges. I think we got a good crew. But I'm pretty positive there were, where we go would be accepted and, do the job. So the equipment is 100% up to date. You know that. Like Mike said, we got to have to work on how to replace things as they come up because we bought a bulk of everything in one shot because.
The first 6 months that I went to Dusher, I come up with the master plan of replacement over time. And, I had a 10-year plan done up for everything so that it wasn't, like you say, this year you do a big truck, next year you do a small tractor and a pickup. So that you're not getting hit every year with a big, but everything is spaced out.
Yeah, so we
We didn't have that option,
No,
so we
so
sort of had to
really-
develop it, but we need
I
to
know.
develop it for the next.
So
And maintenance, I'm huge on maintenance,
So big
so that you
task.
protect what you do have.
the big task that I think you're gonna have is what equipment can you prolong? So replace the ones that like your dump trucks and stuff that get a lot of miles, but what like tractors and stuff like that, can you maintain and prolong
Mhm.
to get us into a better schedule of replacements? Because we did get caught in a pretty bad situation where nothing was good.
Was broke, everything.
And we didn't have a choice. And that's not the right way to do things because now that whole group would be
Dead again.
dead again. So maintaining, stretching some of the lesser equipment out to a longer time, maintenance wise, while spending big bucks on it. It would be very vital to getting us back.
Preventive maintenance is way less expensive, and I firmly believe that.
To get us back into our rotations. So it doesn't kill our budgets.
Right, and we also have several big bridge projects and we have dredging, restoration of the lake coming up. And we have some road paving. We have what else was another big, the fire station. So we have some big projects that are gonna be also interdepartmental. So that are some challenges ahead.
So I told Mike, I've done some homework and I don't like to come into things, so I am aware of a lot of your projects that are started or in the future. I've been very involved in Chapter 90 from start to finish. I didn't have a town administrator that was, did a lot of it in the past, so I mean, I'm very familiar with that. I've gotten grants before, I've done some strap grants. So, I'm very big on, there's money out there, we should, go after it,
Mhm.
So.
Okay, anything else?
All right,
All right,
covered what I needed to, I think.
so,
Mike, do you have some?
no, I'm good. So, right now, the board has, conducted its interviews tonight. The board's gonna be meeting next Tuesday at 5 to discuss the interviews, and at that point, they'll decide whether or not they're gonna move ahead with a candidate or not. And no matter what, I'll be reaching out to you since you were one of the people interviewing, and letting you know what direction the board decides to go in. So, that's our process. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Me too, and
A good weekend.
you too. Bye.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.